Everybody, welcome back. And today we got another video slash therapy session slash brain dump. Um, got some things that I'm kind of working through again. And what better place to vent and share my thoughts than with all of you? I know that's kind of weird, but I actually find a lot of comfort in it. And hopefully you do too. So let's get started. We're about a month into 2026. January just passed, and I think January is always a very peculiar time for me. And I'm reminded of this quite often by my wife, who sees me from obviously a different person. So she sees all of the different emotions that I go through on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and has consistently told me that January is always the worst time of month for me. Um, Partially because most of the time December usually slows down with work. January is fairly inconsistent, and I think a lot of times I find myself spinning and kind of just wondering like, what is it that I'm doing with my life, type of thing. Um, and yeah, that was this January is definitely no different. But I do think that the one difference that I found this January was that it didn't necessarily my thought process wasn't necessarily super negative, but it was definitely way more intrinsic in asking myself really hard questions that I don't know if I really was able to ask myself prior to this. And the biggest question that I've been asking myself, and I know I've talked about this on the channel, quite a bit, is the idea of just identity. And I keep coming back to this theme because I feel like identity is something that has really impacted my life and the way that I move about my life, the way I move about my career, the work that I do, the just everything in general. I think it's actually quite impactful. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we'll kind of maybe unpack a little bit. But I've realized over this past month that I have been fighting against a sort of urge inside of me to expand myself creatively outside of what I already do. And I don't mean like add new things to my plate or I just mean like specifically my identity as a cinematographer or as a DP. For years, I've identified as a DP. And as amazing as that is, and as impactful and beneficial that that has provided me in terms of creating work, connecting with people, building relationships, doing cool projects, and focusing on like a direction, I believe it's also sort of limited me in what I feel like my potential is also. And the reason I say that is because I really firmly believed that if I veered off from the path of being a DP, whether that's focusing on content, maybe directing a little bit, or maybe doing some things outside of just being a DP, that I wouldn't necessarily be deemed a DP anymore. Like, I whether that's true or not, I believe that that was like a thing. And I think that's maybe a thing in filmmaking is the whole idea of being pigeonholed into this one thing and being boxed in to the point where you feel like you can't really expand outward of that, or you can't express yourself in any other way because you are sort of identified as as that thing. And I think it served me for a while and served me for a lot of good reasons to be able to hone my craft as a cinematographer, really focus on dialing in my ability to create great visuals, become a good leader, all of the things that really come with focusing as a DP. But what I found that I was missing was a few different topics. And the first topic that I'm going to go over is ownership, because I think that's really something that is important to me in particular. Maybe it's not to you, which is totally fine. But for me, I've noticed that it's really important. And what I mean by ownership is that if you really break down the role of a DP, you really don't have ownership of a project. And I know that there is a lot of value and I know there's beauty in being able to be a part of a team that is able to help somebody tell their story or help them create the visual language for what they're envisioning for their story. Yes, I love that. Like I still love doing that. It's part of why I love being a DP. But I also asked myself, like, I, is that all that I am? Like, is that person? Am I able to offer more to the world creatively, to myself? And the more that I sort of asked myself that question, I realized like maybe only identifying as a DP or only putting myself in that box is limiting my potential to actually have ownership over creative projects that I have, ideas that I have that maybe have been getting buried down because they don't align with me just being a DP. They align with me maybe being a director, or me being a content creator, whatever it is. I think this has been a really valuable sort of period of, this last month of just asking myself these questions about what is really important to me, what where do I see myself going? What do I see for my future? What fulfills me? And the other part of it too, and I'm going to be totally honest about this, and I don't know if this is going to be good or bad about being honest about this, but a lot of the times as a DP, unless you're really working on some amazing projects all the time, most of the time you're not really doing projects that are that exciting. You're not doing things that you really feel creatively fulfilled by. You don't, maybe you also feel stoked about the visuals, but then get the edit and it's not great, or you get the color back, it's not great. And you're like, I just put all of my time, energy just for this. And sometimes it's a bit, disheartening a little bit when you kind of go through all of that. And it really just does make you question, like, what is it that I can do to offer more of me, my voice, my taste? And I think that's where I want to explore a little bit more. And the next topic that I think has been boiling a little bit is part and partial to the idea of ownership is the fact that as a DP, you sort of have to wait for jobs. And I know this maybe is a bit of a nuanced topic in, where you are in your career, how many, relationships you have, how strong those relationships are. I totally get that. But on surface level, as a DP, you sort of have to wait for somebody to hit your line. You have to wait for somebody to call you, DM you, email you to get a job. And deeper than that, the people that are hiring you have to get the work for them to even consider hiring you. So there's a bit of this waiting game where you're kind of just like, what do I do to get work? And as much of networking and relationships as it's important, you're still waiting for work to come to you. And I don't think it's so black and white in the fact that, if you're a DP, you can't create other work, but there is a bit of separation in between the two, because a lot of times as DPs, you are sort of waiting for people to give you the work for you to create. And I don't have that in me anymore, I don't think, to wait. It's just not who I don't like waiting for things. I like being the one that is a go-getter, that is able to create things out of thin air. I like that idea. I think that's part of who I am. And the more that I come to realization of that, the more that I realize that maybe only being a DP isn't serving me the best way possible, and maybe branching off into other areas, maybe we'll find some other and better fulfillment in ways that I have maybe not experienced yet. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's another thing, is just the whole waiting thing has been kind of annoying a little bit. I wrote something down. Maybe it'll be better if I actually just write it. What I said is, as of now, it means that I'm starting to look outside of my role as a DP and find opportunities to fulfill my creative voice. One being the podcast, one being, the other being maybe YouTube. And honestly, the third or whatever looks like maybe making more content, directing, working with some more local brands in my area, finding opportunities that allow me to feel creative, feel like I have a say in what I'm making, why I'm making it, and not necessarily care about what other people think anymore. Not that I really care about what people think in that way, but I think I had that strong idea of like, okay, if I do this thing and I post it or share it that doesn't align with me being a DP, these directors that have hired me as a DP are no longer going to look at me as a DP and want to hire me, because I still want to work as a DP. I still love DPing, but I just want to be more than that. I think that's it. And like, the most recent thing that I've been exploring and I'm really, really, really excited about is a new partnership with a local gym that I actually go to. And the owner and I came to an agreement where I'm going to start doing some more consistent content and visuals for the gym. And the way that the reason why I'm really excited about this is because he and I talked about what that looks like, and he wants this sort of cinematic, like curated look. And for me, I love fitness. I love the gym. I love curated content, and the the opportunity to be able to do that at a local level and help the owner of a gym that I'm really close with and build this local business in a way that isn't just shooting like typical promo content, but he trusts me to be able to actually curate this sort of fitness content that I want and like light it and just like really explore that is something that I'm really excited about. And yes, it might be content creation, it might be like, working with local brands, but who cares? And I think I had this ego for so long that I was above working for local brands, and I had to do things outside of my local community. But maybe that's just not the case anymore. Maybe there is value in finding a couple local brands that really believe in what your taste is, your voice, your style, and aligning with them to be able to actually create things that you also feel fulfilled about as well. And you're also staying local. You're home. You're doing things around this area. I don't know. I think that's something that I'm really excited about moving forward. And there's another opportunity with another business that I'm pursuing right now, which could also deem to be very exciting for me too, because I just had a meeting with them, and they said that I'm really the only one that they trust to be able to actually do this and curate it and make it feel like it's not just some regular content. And I had to sit back and realize, like, why why would this not be exciting to me back then? Like, this is like the dream. This is amazing to be able to work with companies that trust you. There's no middleman. You're not waiting for it. You're like, you're getting after it. You're creating things. You have ownership. You have a say. I don't know. There's beauty in that, and I'm looking to explore that a little bit more. And maybe some of the content moving forward on YouTube, I don't know. Maybe it'll start reflecting some of that stuff as well as the DP work, and maybe I'll do some directing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking to expand, explore. I want to just make sure that's all the things that I want to talk about. But yes, I wrote this too. This is good. This is not always the case, but I think this is where I'm trying to lean into more. Because again, ownership is a part of, like, I want to create a life that I feel excited about and do things that I love and that I'm passionate about. Otherwise, why even do it? And I know that's a luxury, but that's what I'm trying to build towards. Is I want to feel connected to what I'm making and why I'm making it without being overly concerned with how it's perceived. Whether that's me with an FX3 with a single light, or that's me with a Venice, 25 people and condors, whatever the case, I think there was an ego attachment to that where I didn't feel like I had the same value if I was doing the FX3 stuff or I was doing that big stuff. Maybe I could only do that big stuff to feel like I was being outwardly valuable and like outwardly impressive to people. But if I'm able to do something with an FX3, a single light or two, with a local gym, and create stuff that I feel really good about and like looks better and feels better than the interview that I did over here with 10 people, then I'm going to try to go in that direction over there. Maybe that's like where I should be headed and focusing. So again, I don't know. We'll see. But I just want to start creating the life that I want to live and that I feel passionate about. Maybe this is the start. Maybe it just starts with taking a step back and asking myself, how can I regain some ownership in my creative voice, in my creative artistic world? Hopefully you found this message to be something worth watching and sitting through. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. But yeah, until next time, have a great day, everyone. Peace out.